This is a quick overview of my Lives in Context project. My project was to create PBL templates that are broken down into parts for process focus. Take you into my Google Drive. My drive has everything for the project, but the two main ones that I'm going to focus on are the project overview template and the project planning table. So the overview template is meant to work for basically any project scenario that a student can possibly be given. It can be shared and collaborated on with the professor and other students in your group. So all pertinent information needs to go up at the top so that everybody understands what they're working on. And then it takes you through separate phases of the project to iron out the big picture issues. So the first one is a project idea. Your professor or teacher is going to outline what you need to do, but this asks the group, all right, what is the main issue you're going to tackle? And are there any community service outlets that could benefit from this? Part of Lives in Context is making sure that you not only produce a project that is viable, but that you're also giving back to the community. Now comes the, more academic aspects of the template. It asks students to look for driving questions, content standards, and 21st century skills. This page kind of makes sure that they're sticking with some kind of driving question. They're not just taking the topic and saying, well, I found research here and here. It helps them focus on these are the questions we wanted to answer in this project, and it keeps them referencing those questions the entire time. Content standards make sure that there is a criterion base for the project, that they aren't just going off on a tangent, that they actually stick to what the standards of their institution are. And 21st century skills, we want to make sure that we're incorporating these because this is the basic for future academics and it's what's going to make students successful in the future. Now we're moving on to actually having the student craft the lesson thoughtfully. So first thing we ask them is, who are you teaching the lesson to? Are you teaching it to a group of people or are you teaching it to one person? Your audience varies based on which one you choose, and you need to make sure you identify your audience very specifically so that it's understood what your project's purpose is for. Now we get into the teaching aspect. An entry-level event, this is how you are going to get your participants, so who you're giving the lesson to, engaged and excited about your project. What are you going to do? Are you going to show a video? Are you going to have a short discussion? Are you going to put some words on the board and have them journal for a little bit? Whatever your idea is off the bat to get them excited. This could change, but it makes sure that you're thinking about it to begin with. Assessments. So how are you going to grade or judge the effectiveness of your project? You need to choose if you're going to have formative assessments or performance assessments, or possibly both, and make sure that you outline which one of these you plan to choose at the onset of your project and get it cleared by your teacher. Next are resources. This covers anything from paper and glue all the way to online resources and global contact resources. So again, part of the Lives in Context is that you have some kind of service to the community. Sometimes your community is a global emphasis, and this asks you to outline where you plan to find them, who they are, how they fit your audience, etc. And finally, reflection methods. You as a presenter or project leader need to have some kind of feedback about your project, and you need to make sure that your students walked away with something. So how are you going to show that? How are you going to ask them that? That is what this section is for. You need to pick one and kind of elaborate on what your purpose is. Now the other template goes hand in hand. So the first one was meant to kind of brainstorm. This template was meant to get the nitty-gritty tasks outlined so that every group member knows exactly what they need to do every day. So first off, you have milestones, which those are the components of the project that your professor or teacher assigns. Then you have tasks. Tasks are what help you to complete a milestone. So if you're asked to create an oral presentation about how garbage affects the oceans, this can be a milestone. Now another milestone can be create a blog that advertises your presentation. Milestones can be, there can be several milestones to every project. Now each milestone can be broken down into tasks. And each of these tasks can be assigned to a specific person or pair of people to make sure that things get finished. And each task has subtasks associated with them, so that you can make sure that every phase of the task is accounted for and somebody doesn't get left with extra work at the end of the day. So, to go over it again, milestones are the major components, tasks are the major steps you need to complete a milestone, and subtasks are the mini jobs that take up the completion of a task. Now, resources are the same as we discussed before. What do you need to complete the task? And timeline, that's what workday do you plan on using to complete each task. Now, you need to work within the framework that is given by your professor or teacher, but it helps you to know who is doing what on which day. So these are the directions for completing the chart. So first you need to make a list of all the milestones. Now for each milestone you need to list the steps that need to be taken to complete each milestone, and then you need to identify the major tasks and subtasks. You need to have a complete list. Now this may require you to either have an additional Google Doc, or you need to just do this in group discussion and write it down, pencil and paper. But either way, you need to have some kind of description for each task because it's going to go here in the end. Now you need to complete the following table. So on the onset, after you finish the first Google Doc, you get your approval. Then you're going to go into here and describe each task. You're going to describe each resource that is needed, when you plan to complete it, what milestone goal it is going towards, and who is doing it. Now I want to point this out. You need to update your project as it proceeds, which means that if whoever you originally assigned to complete the project here does not end up completing the project, you need to indicate it. So let's say Billy is in charge of task 1, but something happens. He's absent one day because he's sick. He doesn't understand what to do, so he fiddles around the whole time. It can run the gambit of excuses, but he doesn't finish the task that he is given, and someone else needs to take it. Billy's name would then be highlighted in blue, and the person that took over the task will be written next to it in red. So let me show you a sample of what a completed table would look like. So it just has the directions listed again. So this shows you, it's the same project as described before. So create your presentation. You need to research. So to research a topic, you have to research with a focus. So research the impact of trash on the oceans, and then you need to make an outline. And it tells you who is doing it. Okay? You need to make a script, which is still going towards a presentation. You need to actually practice the script, which is still going towards presentation, and so forth. Now at the very bottom here, I give you an example of what I'm talking about. So at the very end, you have tasks 6 and 7. So Meg and John are kind of in charge of the end tasks and making the PowerPoint. Now something happens and Meg cannot complete her portion of finding videos and images. So John has to take an additional day, which is why the 6th is added and highlighted in red, to finish the project. So this helps you to show that you took on additional work or that you had to give up work. And it also helps the teacher see how the workload is distributed in the end versus how it was originally set up. So I hope this helps to better explain what the project planning templates were for. And I hope you enjoy conducting your next Lives in Context project.